I want to talk quickly about the idea of clean code, something that we've talked about before. And this is a good example to do with something like a function. For example, let's say we had a function that perhaps checks if a number is even or odd. So let's say is odd or even as a function that takes in a number. And we're going to here say, well, how are we going to check? Well, we can use the modulo operator. I can say if number modulo 2, which remember gives us the remainder. And if it's an even number, the remainder is always going to be 0. So this is going to tell us if it's an even number. So if it's an even number, then I want you to return true. And if it's not an even number, so let's say num 2 doesn't equal 0. So if this is an odd number, there's always a remainder. In that case, we return false. So maybe let's change this function to be more descriptive, is even. So it's going to return true if it's even, false if it's not even. So in here, if I do is even and give it 50, and I run, I get an error because I have to make sure that I do an if statement here. We have to print here, so let's do print and click run. I get true. If I do 51 and click run, I get false. All right, it seems to be working, but how can we clean up this code? Well, here's the thing. We have some ways that we can actually make this a little bit tighter. For example, if we're only checking for is even, we don't really need to check this again, because if number modulo 2 doesn't equal 0, that is, if a number divided by 2 doesn't always have a remainder of 0, we always know that it's not going to be even. So we don't even need this statement. We can just say else, right? So that if I run this still works. So all right, so we cleaned up our code a little bit. But here's the thing. Another thing we could do is we know that return exits the function automatically. So we don't even need the else statement. I can just say return here, because it's only going to get to line 5 if the statement is not correct. So if it's not even, well, I'm going to skip line 4 and go to line 5. So that if I run this still works. All right, but we can make this even cleaner, right? Because right now we're just returning true or false. And usually if you have something like this, we're returning true, false directly, there's usually a better way. And that's using an expression that evaluates to a Boolean. What we can actually do is simply say, hey, remove all of this. And I want you to just return like this. And if we run this still works. And if I do 50, this still works. Because what we're saying here is I want you to return whatever this value is. And this is an expression, right? That's going to evaluate true, false directly. So we get the exact same result as we had before, but look how much cleaner that is. That is just nice, simple code. And as a developer, I can come in here and right away see that, all right, is even is just performing this operation and returning true or false. So this is a good way to think about clean code. How can you clean up your code? And mind you, there's no perfect solution. You can always clean up code. But thinking like this really allows you to develop the way that advanced programmers think. I'll see you in the next one.